Greetings to you, colleagues. Welcome back to Agora Legis, the platform of legal minds, where we discuss legal principles and make them easy to understand for everybody. And today's session, we are going to host a legal genius called Mike Sekayaza, who is just by my side. He is the managing partner of the law firm at KU called Kanyahamba and Company Advocate, the best young lawyer in the Young Lawyer Dear series of 2025, and he is one of the most performing students of his generation. So it's a real pleasure to have you, Mike Sekayaza, at Agora Legis. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, but that is not necessary. I'm Mike Sekayaza.
As you can also see, he's so humble. So content comes with humility. Trust me, I can testify of it. Well, without further indulgence, we shall dive into constitutional history, and we are looking at Buganda Agreement. And as such, I'm Council Ben, and this is Mike Sekayaza, and let's jump right in. Well, uh, Council, you are again the most welcome. So, can you tell us about Buganda Agreement? What is it in brief?
Well, Buganda Agreement, it is an agreement. Yeah, an agreement that was signed between Her Majesty's government, that is Britain, and
Mhm.
Buganda Kingdom, to legalize the British rule in Buganda and Uganda generally.
Well, that is so good. And can you give us a brief background on how it's all came about to talk about the Buganda Agreement? What are the causes? Why?
Okay, now this is going to take us back to history, and you remember that this started way back from the scramble and the partitioning of Africa. Yeah, the scramble and partitioning of Africa started way back in the 19th, and after that, it was discovered that Uganda was then given to Britain. Yeah, so Britain was to take control of Uganda as its colony in Africa, and after now Uganda becoming a protectorate of Britain in 1890, it was in 1984,
18, yeah,
1894, yeah,
1894.
1894, yeah. Now it became legal that Uganda itself was a protectorate of Britain, and then after 6 years, uh, then the agreement was signed to ensure that this relationship between Britain and Uganda or Buganda is solemnized. Now, for Buganda at a time, it was the most prosperous region in Uganda, and that's why the British saw it prudent to get in good terms with Buganda, and as a result, they signed the 1900 Buganda Agreement.
Agreement.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so insightful. So, members, we have now known the background, how it all came about after the scramble and partitioning of Africa, and how Britain came to Uganda. And officially in 1894, Uganda became a British protectorate. Well, can you tell us the purpose or the objective? Why did they make the Buganda Agreement? Was it because Uganda was now expanding, or because they wanted to be friends, or what is the rationale behind it? What is the cause or the purpose of making the Buganda Agreement?
Yeah, now as I had told you that after the Scrum partitioning, after Uganda being declared a British protectorate, everything had to become documented, everything had to become legal. That the declaration of Uganda as a protectorate didn't make it legal at a time until the instrument of power then started emanating. One of the instruments of power that came at a time was the 1900 Uganda Agreement. And I told you the reason as to why it came into force was that Uganda as a protectorate had different tribes, but among the tribes that were existing in Uganda at the time, Buganda was more prosperous than them. So the British saw it prudent to get in good terms with Buganda and therefore signed this agreement. This agreement had 22 articles, and among these articles, it shows clearly the importance of signing that agreement, and therein describes the bars and the hindrance that were described afterwards. But what a student out there ought to know about the introduction of this agreement, they need to know who signed this agreement. Yeah. Now, this agreement was signed between Buganda Kingdom, as I had told you, and by the time Buganda was led by an infant king, which was Kabaka Daudi Chwa.
Daudi Chwa, effectively.
Yeah, the infant king at the time, and he couldn't sign the agreement. Thereby, he was represented by the regents. Yeah. Now, that was to the side of Uganda. With the side of Britain, yeah, it was signed by Sir Harry Johnston.
Sir Ali Johnson. Yeah.
Sir Harry Johnston. Yeah, he represented Her Majesty's government. Yeah. And now, as I told you that the king was an infant king and he couldn't sign, he couldn't read, he was represented by the reagents.
By the regents, yeah.
The reagents were mainly three, and that was the Prime Minister
yeah.
of Buganda, who was he was called Stanford Mugwanya. Yeah, Prime Minister
Mr.
in
Mugwanya.
Uganda. Yeah,
Effectively.
Prime Minister in Uganda is referred to as Katikiro. So he
Katikiro.
was Katikiro at a time. Then the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice in Uganda is referred to as Omulamuzi.
Omulamuzi.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah.
To mean a judge.
Yeah, Omulamuzi. Now, the Mulamuzi at a time was called Sapolo Kagwa.
Sir Apollo Kagwa.
Yeah, Sapolo Kagwa. And then the treasurer. The treasurer is the Mwanika.
Mwanika.
Yeah, who treasures money.
Keeps money.
Yeah. And at a time, that was uh, he was called that was Stanislas Mugwanya, Apollo Kagwa, and then I'm forgetting the name of the treasurer.
The treasurer.
Yeah, there were three people, and these people had witnesses to witness this transaction. It was the witnesses. The witnesses were the leaders of the different chiefdoms of Buganda. Yeah, now Buganda itself had different chiefdoms. Buganda was so organized that even at a time in 1900, it had different chiefdoms.
To mean that it was the power was even at some point decentralized.
Yeah, it was decentralized. Yeah, now among those chiefdoms included Chadondo. Now Chadondo was represented by Kago. Kago is the leader of Chadondo, and he was there as a witness at a time.
Chadi.
Yeah. Now we had Sechibobo. Sechibobo is also a Saza leader. We had Mukwenda. Yeah, Mukwenda represents that is called Singo. Yeah, Asaza of Buganda was also there as a witness. Okay, every chiefdom had a representative there. Yeah, and besides that, there are even other people who were not representatives of those chiefdoms, and they are not reagents. Some of them, I remember who was called Nuambogo. Nuambogo represented the Muslim Council at a time, and they all evidenced the signing of the 1900 Uganda Agreement. Those are the people that
signed
the
signatories of the agreement.
Now, the signatories are these people, the other representatives. They are not the reagents. Have the signatories, the reagents, and
the
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 witnesses.
witnesses to testify of.
Yeah.
All right. So, members, we have now known the purpose of the Buganda Agreement. Why was it signed? We have seen the signatories of the Buganda Agreement, and now to dive further in, would you mind give us some of the key provisions of these 20 articles in the Buganda Agreement, and how these provisions have shaped the ideas of having the current 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda.
Okay. Yeah. Now, before I respond to that question, I'll first make it clear that usually when they ask a question about Buganda Agreement, they can pose it in a way that uh, the examiner intends to look or to source for the ideas of forming the current constitution or constitutionalism
Mhm.
generally. Yeah, now your question comes from the perspective of ideas of the constitution. How does the 1900 Uganda Agreement impact also the ideas of formation of the
1995
1995
Constitution.
constitution? Yeah, now this agreement having had over 22 articles, it means that each of the articles has an implication towards the formation of the 1995 Constitution. But some of them are going to be merged therein because they have the same purpose. Yeah, but the most key articles that I'm going to source out in the Buganda Agreement include Article 1 and 2. Those articles are emphasized on limitation of Buganda's expansionist tendencies. Remember that before the signing of this agreement, there was power struggles in Uganda, that each kingdom was fighting against each other to
To
expand
expand their
their
territories.
territories. But now, at a time, Uganda itself was given to Britain as a protectorate, as a colony. So this colony, the British didn't want to see the subjects fighting against each other. So it had to stop Uganda's expansion tendencies because at the time it was evident that Uganda was the most prosperous. So it had to stop the expansionist tendencies of Uganda.
That
And
is
as a,
for
res-
Article 1 and 2,
and as a result, it demarcated
the
the
boundaries.
boundaries of Uganda under Article 1 and Article 2 of the agreement. Now, how does that now impact the 1995 Constitution? Yeah, you can look at Article
77,
176 from 676,
77,
77,
and
and
78.
178 and 179 actually.
Yeah.
And they all talk about the distribution of
Districts.
districts, local governments.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that dis- that demarcation of the territories of Buganda, therein acted as an idea for formation of district and local governments in the current 1995 constitution.
Yeah.
That is Article 1 and Article 2. We can also look at another key article in the 19 of Uganda Agreement is Article 15. Article 15 provided for the redistribution of land into Crown and Milo. Yeah. Now, what is Conland? What is Milo land? Conland was that land that was reserved for the British government. Buganda's land that was left out to be used or administered by
Her
Her Majesty's
Majesty's
government.
government.
Yeah, that was the Crown land.
Mhm.
And then the minor land was that land that was reserved for the king of Buganda at the time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, how does that impact the formation of the 1995 Constitution? We have Article 237, which talk about
Uh, Land ownership,
land ownership
exactly.
in Uganda. So that article was also put into existence as a result of the
The
1900 Buganda Agreement.
1900 Buganda Agreement,
Yeah,
exactly.
we have another article, that is Article 12,
12.
which talks about taxes.
taxes.
Yeah, that at a time in the 19 Buganda Agreement, there was establishment of the the Luchiko, the Parliament of Buganda,
Mhm.
and then the tax collectors. Now, those tax collectors could collect taxes from within the kingdom, but that tax was to be used unanimously under that is provided under Article 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 4, yeah,
For
4 of the
exactly.
agreement, yeah, that this money, all this tax was to be used unanimously throughout the kingdom and the protectorate at large. Yeah, so those articles, they impact on formation of Article 152
52
and
about taxation.
53 of the 1995 Constitution, because those articles talk about the Consolidated Fund being URA, Uganda Revenue Authority,
Authorities.
and the functions prescribed under 153. Yes, so we see it clearly that the emanation or the signing of the 19 Uganda Agreement affected the formation of the 1995 Constitution. Many articles. We can talk about Article 3 itself. It talks about merging or standardizing Buganda at the same level as other kingdoms in the protectorate. That talks about equality,
Equality.
and that is
Exactly.
provided under Article 21 of the
One of the constitution.
1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. So we see it clearly that different articles source the ideas of the
The
formation of the 1995
1995
Constitution.
constitution.
But what I advise students out there, it
Mhm.
is to go read article by article, and then they see how it impacted the formation of the 1995 Constitution as an origin of the idea of the formation of the Constitution. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is so insightful, guys. We have now seen some of the provisions, the key provisions in the Buganda Agreement, and how they sourced the ideas of formation of some articles in our current 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Well, as a last point, we want you to tell us about the aftermath of this agreement concluded in the constitutionalism of Uganda's history.
Oh, now that is what I was trying to talk about when you asked the other first question. I was telling you that these questions are a bit similar, but they are different. When they talk about the aftermath, what happened, what were the results, the consequences of the signing of the 19th Uganda Agreement, then they want you to speak about constitutionalism.
History, actually,
Yeah, the different historical events that happened as a result
of creation of that
of signing
agreement.
of the other agreement. So those are the different historical eras that you're going to be discussing on this question.
Guys over there,
Yeah.
we see that he's clearly setting a line as a difference between these two questions about the ideas of the constitutions uh, accordingly to the provisions in the Uganda Agreement, but also constitutionalism or aftermath of creation of these agreements. They are two different things. And as he has answered the first question, we are going to see how to approach the second question. Go on, Council, please.
Well, now for constitutionalism, it's better that the student highlight the article, what were the implications of that article, and stretches further to how that article has impacted the current Uganda. So you're not restricted to talk about what happened afterwards, after signing the agreement. You stretch up to the current situation, what is happening in Uganda that was as a result of signing of the agreement. That is the aftermath or the constitutionalism. Yeah. Now, an example that I can give, I can start still with Article 1 and Article 2, which demarcated the boundaries of Buganda. Now, those articles, after providing for the demarcation of Buganda, it did not end on that, because we see that afterwards, we see Buganda being gifted with extra uh, territories, extra uh, chiefdoms. Okay, in Buganda we refer to them as Saza. Saza. So Buganda, after collaborating with Britain, it was gifted extra chiefdoms, and some of them include Bulemezi, include Buwekula, include Buyaga, Bugangaizi. Okay, so those and then Bugerere as well. They were all gifted to Uganda after signing of the 1900 Uganda Agreement. And now, after signing of this agreement, and Uganda was gifted these chiefdoms, we see that afterwards, the sole owner of these chiefdoms, who was Bunyoro, start fighting against Buganda to reclaim
their
their counties.
counties.
Yeah, and as a result, we see that in 1961 and 1962, we come to the Marlborough and the
And
Lancaster
Lancaster
conferences.
conferences.
Therein, after in 1964, we see the referendum being signed that these countries voted to either be part of Buganda or part
Or
of Bunyoro.
Bunyoro.
And as a result, we see that some countries voted to, most of these countries, the counties were like Wekula, Bugerere, Bulemezi, Bururi, all those counties were retained in Buganda. But the two, Buyaga and Bugangaizi, were then referred to go back to
Bunyoro.
Bunyoro, which Buganda did consent to. We saw that where Kabaka Mutesa II refused to sign the instruments of power for referral of those counties, and then those countries then acquired the name of the
Lost
that
counties.
lost counties Buyaga and Ugangaizi. So we see
Exactly.
that it did stop on signing of the agreement and demarcation of the boundaries, but it stretches to extra historical events. That is to Article 1 and Article 2. Yeah. When we talk about Article 15 of the agreement, we talked about a redistribution of land into Crown and Milo. Now, Crown and Milo, at a time, it looked near that we have Crown land, which belongs to Her Majesty government, and Milo land, which belongs to the Kingdom of Buganda. But look at it critically, analytically, and see what happened after the distribution of that land. After the redistribution of that land, we saw it clear that in the long run, then this land, which was initially belonging to the native owners, which were the Bataka, causes a lot of rivals. That was the Bataka and peasantry grievances of 1920 to 1930. They actually stretched up to 1940. Those grievances happened as a result of the 1900
Buganda
Buganda
agreement.
Agreement. So it stretches further that even in those grievances, there was a unanimous party, which was the Bataka um, Farmers Association, later became a political party. That was the UNC afterwards. So we see that for constitutionalism, we stretch further and we see the impact that arises after occurrence of something. Now, we can also talk about the prosperous article 6, was it article 6, article 8, that talked about the recognition of Buganda Kingdom.
That was Article 8.
Article 8,
Yes.
yeah, the recognition of Buganda Kingdom, that Buganda was to be protected and the Kabaka was to be protected as long as he could comply
to the rules of Britain.
to the rules of Britain. And we see that afterwards, when this agreement was signed, kings kept on changing. We had Kabaka Mwanga. After Kabaka Mwanga, we had Kabaka Mutesa II. Kabaka Mutesa II felt like when they were signing this agreement, they didn't consider the future generation and therefore declined the rules of unification that will be discussed after in the 1953 to 1955 Kabaka crisis. So
Exactly.
Kabaka Mutesa II did concession to what was proposed in the agreement,
Mm,
and therefore it led to the deportation of the Kabaka and
mm.
thereby the Kabaka crisis of
Crisis of 1953.
1953.
Mm,
So you see that for constitutionalism, we stretch further. We go an extra mile to see what happened,
mm.
and what is happening now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is how we attempt the question on constitutionalism.
Thank you
So
so
I as
much.
well urge the listeners and the viewers out there to go read the different articles and they see the impact,
How they come up after
yeah,
in
how
the
things
history
pile up,
and how they are impacting the current situation in the country.
yeah,
Thank you so much. This is so insightful, guys over there. We're coming to an end. We have seen the causes, facts, and consequences, and the quid about the Buganda Agreement signed in 1900. Well, we urge you to subscribe, like, and share if you like the content, and don't hesitate to contact us. The contacts are there down below in the description of the video. It's always Agora Legis with Council Ben.